Hey, what's up, guys? It's another day, little somber because I know a lot of people out there right now are going through some tough times and some tough trials. I tend to have been catching wind of a lot of news secondhand. I don't ever have the privilege, or I guess I should say the networking abilities to always find out things firsthand right when they happen. So usually I end up hearing things from a second party to the person who suffered a loss or something. And there's been a lot of losses these last couple of days with friends and with family. I don't want to make it seem as though the only time that we talk about loss is whenever one happens, because we've all experienced loss in different forms and fashion, and we've all kind of had to take some time out and ask ourselves, how did we never see that coming, or how did we not know that this was something that could have happened? And I think that's part of the life experience. Is one thing that I've come to find out is that trust and that faith and that ability to get up every day and leave the house and get on the freeway, and basically all the decisions and all the things that we make throughout the course of a 24-hour period, or at least whatever amount of hours we're awake and functioning in the world, we tend to do it with a degree of trust. We have a belief that the way things are, the way things will be tomorrow, we have this anticipation towards tomorrow, and we plan accordingly because we believe in a tomorrow. I don't mean to be so blunt and say tomorrow never comes, but if I was going to talk about it from a metaphysical perspective, tomorrow essentially doesn't come, because it's just an extension of the moment, which is something that I kind of hinted and touched upon a little bit in a previous video. I had the experience of being able to have my family help me on this job that we had going on, and it's been pretty tedious and pretty involved, but being with them and having them able to be around while we were working actually brought a lot of things to light. It let me know that there's a lot of people out there that they have all their own personal struggles, one and the same, just manifesting themselves differently, the same way positivity and happiness manifests itself differently for other people. I like to talk about synchronicities a lot with people in person or on social media sometimes, about like all the little breadcrumb trails, that are what I like to call it, that you stumble upon, which is like the universe's way of talking to you, reaching out to you and letting you know that things are following a more divine, or if you don't necessarily lean towards the divine, a more natural order. And the natural order of things is repetitive, it's symmetrical. It makes copies of copies indefinitely, because we are essentially copies of a previous energy source, and we just manifest ourselves differently on a physical plane. Spending time with my family brought up a lot of memories too, and it made me stop and think a little bit about not just the memories that I do remember of the good with the people who are here, but it made me stop and think about the people who are no longer with us, whether they're just not around anymore because we've parted ways and we're on a different pathway now, or if they're not around because in a life sense, that we've parted ways and they're on a different path now, referring to death. I don't think that I ever thought as deeply about death and loss of a loved one as I have in the more recent years, when I started coming to terms with what exactly life means to me, or what exactly life is to me. I think what's kind of happened a little bit is that as time's gone on, I've been forced to stop and ask myself, what are my beliefs? What are my beliefs in life? What are my beliefs in death? What are my beliefs in hope and the future? And the reality of it is that a lot of my beliefs were shaped from my upbringing. My upbringing was strongly Christian, doctrine, Christian, Bible-based upbringing. Relatively familiar with church and everything else that comes along with that. And I will say that I actually enjoyed a lot of what I learned growing up as a youth. I did come to a stage in my life where I had to challenge it and seek it out for myself. And that stage I feel like is still ongoing, but I feel like, I don't like to say like I've advanced further than that, but I feel like my experience has been shaped to be able to reveal to me that there is always more than what's already presented or what's already known. The day that I can say that I know something without a shadow of a doubt is the day that I would have had to have seeked every crack, crevice, and corner for answers and continued indefinitely and never found anything else to be the contrary. And in my life experience alone, that hasn't been the case. I search, ponder, pray often. I meditate often. I wake up in the morning and I start my day with some daily thoughts, daily motivation, videos to kind of gear me up and get me ready to go and shape the way I want to make sure that I go about thinking for the day. And I feel like a lot of that is evident that I'm still growing. I still have a lot more room to grow, and there's no way that even within my lifetime I'll be able to know or comprehend everything it is that I want to. And I think that kind of says something to me, that reveals something to me about life. It reveals to me even more that it can't be limited to just the spatial recognition of the physical form that we're most accustomed to. It can't, because our brain and our mind and our energy is capable of producing so much more experience and so much more observation than what meets the eye or what is tangible. And because of that, it proves to me that there's a whole entire plane that operates separate of physical being. Yes, it does require physical form to be able to express that you're experiencing this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you're unable to express it verbally, or if you're unable to communicate it physically, that it's not happening or it's non-existent. In fact, there's many things around us that happen that's not physically observable, but we can see that it's happening based on the cause and effect that occurs, which is also a natural law. You know, the natural law of cause and effect basically means causality. I do something over here and it affects something down the road. The conservation of energy proves that nothing actually disappears. It just transforms. And so when I stop to think about these losses, a large part of me starts to think, you know, is it really a loss? And whose loss? You know, is it a loss if I can no longer see something that I once saw before me? Well, of course, it feels like a loss. But it feels like a loss to a limited perspective. If I acknowledge that there's still other stuff out there that it just because I can't see it, I know it still exists, then my feeling of detachment starts to dissipate and it starts to change just a little bit more to where I'm able to kind of calmly comprehend that there's a possibility, strong possibility. For me, I like to be careful about calling it a truism or a belief, but there's a strong possibility based on the evidence that I've observed in my lifetime experience that these losses are only a loss in perspective. It's a loss in the ability to be able to see that what was there is not actually gone. It's just transformed into a different manifestation. I have a large amount of eagerness to be able to seek out more knowledge about these things and a deeper understanding about them, not just for myself, but so that way I can relay them and share them with other people too. I think that when we wake each other up, or when we reach out to one another and we explain or express these different ideas and different viewpoints, it illuminates our mind in a way that we once had that childlike wonder when we were young, and it starts to make the neurotransmitters and the psyche elevate and spike in creativity and imagination and thought. And I think, you know, it goes without saying that creativity, imagination, free thought, these are all things that once motivated us before we fell victim to the spatial physical realm that we dwell in now. And it doesn't take much to be able to realize that the realm that we're most familiar with operating in our day to day is largely materialistic. It's largely fabricated. It's largely based on superficial stuff. And when we align ourselves with only that way of thinking, then it definitely feels that much more like a loss whenever we can't hold something right in front of us or we can't see it right in front of us. And so I do understand, why these things, losses tend to be so heartbreaking and unsettling and so hard to be able to overcome. But I have confidence that when we shape the way that we think and when we shape the way that we focus and the way that we reach out and communicate with others, we also realign our perspective in the way we see things. And when we can do that, when we can realign our perspective to the way that we see things to match more in harmony with the way things really are, rather than the way that they appear to be, we would naturally come to a more deeper calm, a more deeper center, and a more deeper balance. And I think, in light of all the things that people are experiencing right now, both friends and family, with lost loved ones, lost friends, lost fortunes, lost opportunities, all of the various losses that a person can experience in whatever amount of time, whether it's a short amount of time or even a lengthy amount of time. A loss is a loss, and the ones who bear the burden of it are the ones that are affected the most. I think that if we reach out and we kind of help one another to be able to stop and think of a different way of seeing things, then it'd be easier to be able to comprehend what's actually going on out there. And I think a lot of this is kind of the universe's way of telling us, there's a different way, there's a better way, there's a more proper way. And if you grow and you elevate and you raise your vibration and be able to match that deeper, better way, then not only will you be able to overcome these trials and tribulations and these struggles, but you'll have a sense of peace whenever you encounter them. Something that I haven't had like the last couple of weeks, that center of peace. I haven't been able to find it and hold it as well, but I don't let that detract me from trying, and I don't let that detract me from knowing that that's where I need to be going towards. So if any of y'all feel the same way right now, whatever losses you're going through, whatever heartaches or troubles or struggles, just bear in mind that there was a time before this that you were happy, and there will be a time after this that you'll be happy again. And if you can find something, anything at all, that can make you smile even for the moment, grab hold of that and go with it, run with it, because all we have is the moment. And it would be a shame to go into tomorrow knowing that tomorrow may not come, because it kind of really doesn't, and still be holding on to that pain and suffering and misery. So if you have a loved one or a friend or a family that you haven't talked to, family member that you haven't talked to in a while, or whatever that's been on your mind, pick up the phone, shoot them a message, give them a phone call, maybe stop over and see them and just let them know that you're thinking about them, or that you definitely have them in your heart and in your mind. Because for some people, they don't realize it until they hear it, that they are loved, they are appreciated, and they are needed. And if I haven't told any of y'all that are watching my video, either because I don't know you, because I haven't met you, or I haven't seen you in a while, that you are loved, you are needed, you are appreciated, then please take the moment now to hear me when I say that every life matters. Every person endures some type of pain or struggle, and everybody should be able to know that there's other people out there who do genuinely care. And if you reach out to those people, or if you haven't found any of them yet, reach out and contact me. I'm eager to be able to meet new people all the time. I don't like to make it sound like I'm so busy that I don't have time for people, because people really are my passion. I haven't been the best at being able to reach out and communicate so fluently, but I'm working on that, and I want to be able to be a beacon of hope, a beacon of light, and I want to be able to be some source of strength for people who need it, just as much as I would hope that I can find people that I would be able to trust and rely on should I need it. So like the all too familiar saying, each one reach one, and when you reach one, teach one. go ahead and go out there and do exactly that, okay? Peace, love, thanks for all the support, and I look forward to talking to y'all again.